Hey everyone, it's good to see you all. It's time to go through the day, so let's go ahead and get started. So it all started at 10:30 when I woke up. I got up and lo and behold, the first thing I do is I decide to grab my phone, open YouTube, and see if there's anything interesting to watch. I found this really unique video that I decided to click on because it sounded really weird. It said the bonkers theory that ancient civilizations weren't conscious, and it was like this guy who had this weird co-host, which was like a durian, those spiky fruits, but with like a two eyeballs and a mouth on it for some reason. I'm not exactly sure. I guess he was like, well, this is weird and unexpected, so surely people are gonna hang on when they see this. And so he put it together and had it on his table as he was talking about this theory that ancient civilizations left and right brains were like disassociated from each other. It was like a theory presented by some guy where like people believed their like intuition was from the gods, and so they decided to label it as the gods, whereas as time went on they believed that they were fully integrated and that they weren't getting messages, but rather it was just their mind simply just coming to these conclusions based off data being presented to them. It was a really weird video, but really interesting at the same time. Then after that, there was this video recommended to me called the movie service you've never heard of that your tax dollars are paying for. And I was like, wow, that sounds very interesting. I wonder what this is. So I clicked on it, and it was basically a guy talking about this service called Canopy. And apparently it's completely free. There are zero ads. There's zero subscription service. All you need is a public library account, and you're pretty much good, or a card, and you're good to go. If you create a public library card and then you open Canopy and you say what your card is and then you go on, it essentially allows you to go and look at a wide selection of different films that are ranging from like artistic to silly. So it was a very interesting video. And it kind of makes me want to look into that service to see how legit it was. But based on the guy's recommendation, it seemed quite legit to me. But of course, always never take people's word for it. Trust is earned, not given. So do your research before you ever decide to get into this service. I just thought it was kind of interesting that that apparently there's a service that exists out there that American tax dollars are paying for. So yeah, after watching that, I was getting hungry, so I decided to go to the nearest fast food place that I enjoy. I made sure to let our family friend know before leaving, and I left. I got a double cheeseburger with fries and a Diet Pepsi. I asked the fries to be double fried, and I immediately drove home, where I put some garlic, pepper, salt on these fries, made them taste very good. I put some ketchup on there, and I had my burger. My sister wanted to try some, so I gave some to her. And then I went into my room and I decided to watch this new video from Red Letter Media called A Canon Christmas in July. And they were basically watching three movies from this movie production company called Canon Films. I was basically ran by these two guys who made all of these really terrible like movies, but they were very highly entertaining despite how terrible they were. Funny episode, really enjoyed. Like, it is fun watching these guys watch movies that are like terrible and they're trying to like make fun of them despite how bad like the subject is, but at the same time it is nice to see them enjoy themselves when they find a film that actually is entertaining to them and kind of lifts their spirits. So that was cool. Like, they went through American Ninja, and then they were on this second movie, Life Force. It was called Life Force. It's basically about like how astronauts found these three like people in these crystal tombs, and they bring them back to Earth, but then apparently they're actually space vampires. That sounds so corny and so schlocky when you say that out loud. But yeah, they're space vampires, and they basically want to, suck the life force out of people. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Then after watching a little bit of that, I decided to go out to throw away my trash that I had accumulated from eating the fast food. And then I talked to my sister and about what I was watching. And then I randomly brought this like one movie. I've never watched it. I only watched Red Letter Media make fun of how terrible the movie looked. It was a film starring Kevin Smith called Zookeeper, and it was basically like a really terrible, like awful movie that essentially acted as like an advertisement for, like things like TGI Fridays or what have you. And I said, yeah, there was this scene in the trailer where Kevin Smith is talking to a gorilla, and then the gorilla says, TGI Fridays really as incredible as it sounds. And then Kevin Smith is like, it's pretty good. And then he drives the gorilla up to the TGI Fridays and he says, shut up. And it's the worst thing ever. Like, I don't think I've ever seen something that I could definitively call a product as much as I've seen. Like, my sister pulled up a clip of this movie and it was the scene for TGI Fridays. I can definitively say that that is the most product movie I have ever seen. Like, at least with some movies, like with superhero movies, you could say, well, at least there was some artistic merit. They had CGI artists that had to, get this shot out in a way where it looked visually engaging and appealing to viewers. But here, like, it's just this gorilla, like animatronic gorilla. I guess you could say, ooh, animatronic gorilla, but it's in service of thinly veiled advertisement for TGI Fridays, and it's not even funny or clever at all. It's just really stupid. And my sister was like saying, ooh, that gorilla sounds like terrible. Like, why wouldn't anyone like look at that and be like, oh, this is awful. Why am I doing this or serving this scary creature from from Hades? It was pretty interesting. I'm paraphrasing there. Yeah, she was basically saying like it looked spooky. But anyways, yeah, after we talked about that and gave that clip we saw 0 out of 10, I got some ice cream. I got a little bit of espresso. I went into my room and I continued watching the Red Letter Media video a little more before eventually finishing up the ice cream, the espresso, washing the plate, and then, drinking water from the cup, and then deciding to do my Monroe exercise today. And I made a separate video that I posted onto the channel for that. It's underneath this video. If you go and click on the channel and then click on videos, and this one that I've released, if you go underneath it directly, you'll find that experience. All I'm going to say is it was pretty much just a nap I took. I can't really say any strong, vivid imagery or dreams or anything at all, but it was interesting. At least I know how to go to sleep fast now. That's nice. But yeah, I'm going to continue these tapes to see if I get more interesting experiences. And then, after I woke up from that experience and quickly recorded my update, Wave 1 Discovery Tape 5, I needed to get dressed and ready to go to work. So I grabbed a soda. I said goodbye to my sister. I told her that I love her. I said goodbye to our family friend. I told her that I love her too. And then I went in my car and I drove off to work. When I arrived at work, I punched in, and then I put my soda in the fridge and I got going with my duties. From sweeping the produce, the break room, and the store floor many times, punching in, checking the restrooms, seeing if they had everything they needed, bringing in paper towels to make sure people could dry their hands. Yeah, did all that. Made sure they had plenty of toilet paper and seat coverings. And anything really interesting to say throughout that whole experience. Also, alternating between bagging and taking food out to customers. Well, for the first 2 hours, not really. I greeted a coworker who was in the front of the store who told me some unfortunate news, and I felt bad for him and said, "Oh, I hope the best for you." And so, yeah, I asked for my break, went to refill my water canteen. I was stopped by parents of a friend I knew in high school, telling me that how my friend was doing, and I said, tell them I said hi. So yeah, and then I went refilled my water tank. I went to the front. I did some breath work. I took some water. I went into the store again, took out the trashes, punched out for lunch. Then, when I punched out, I 2 pieces of fried chicken. One was a breast, the other was a leg. And I also got a white chocolate, mocha truffle, and raspberry Haagen-Dazs ice cream cup, and that was really good. Really enjoyed that. Bought them up in the front, took them upstairs, ate the food while I was watching a new Simeon Jimmy and Treehouse video where he was talking with his friend Rusty Cage about the current state of the world. It's pretty interesting. I decided to return to work and punch back in. I finished taking out the rest of the trash, brought the bags up the front, filled all of them, wiped down all the check stands, had an interesting conversation with my cashier coworker about AI use and how I felt about it, and how the state of the world is right now. It was all very interesting. I almost forgot to mention, as I was driving to work, I was listening to a really interesting video about how apparently China secretly saved the world. It was apparently because they are now distributing their oil reserves to the European nations that absolutely need it because of the Strait of Hormuz being closed. But anywho, after wiping down the last check stand, I brought in the carts, the signs, cleared lot, closed the produce blinds, swept the remaining material off of the produce area, threw that away, wiped down check stand 4, asked my co-manager if it'd be all right if I could do a quick run through with these go backs, and they said sure. I said it'd take me less than 5 minutes, so I did that. When I was done, I punched out. I went upstairs to the break room. I grabbed my ice cream and my notebook. I went downstairs. Once again, neglected the notebook, by the way. Didn't really write in it at all. Sorry. But I knocked on the manager door, walked out with me, said goodnight. It let me know that he had a bad tummy ache, and I said, I wish you to get well very soon. And then I went off to my car. Oh, they asked me if I was coming. He asked me if I was coming tomorrow. I said, no, I have the day off. But then I decided to check my schedule, and thank goodness I did, because apparently I do go to work tomorrow from 3 to 11. Oopsies. For some reason, I thought I had the day off tomorrow, but I guess not. Well, that's the last time I make that mistake. Then I went in my car. I drove home. When I arrived home, I got out of my car. I put the ice cream in the freezer. I was stopped by our family friend, letting me know that there was some food made, like roast and bread, and that I could help myself to some of that. I was like, thank you. And then after that, I went to my room. I got out my work clothes. I finished editing my latest Monroe Gateway tape video. I published that on my YouTube channel, and then I decided to film this video. So that's pretty much the gist of what happened. Yeah, that's gonna have to do it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.